welcome back to episode 10 of my Realignment 2028 series as the Oakland A's. I just finished up spring training, getting ready to start the 2030 season. Predicted in preseason to go 91 and 71, which would be roughly the same record as how we finished last year. So I'd say that's kind of my expectations for the year. Looking to, compete for a playoff spot, ideally win the division again. Our division was not super great last year, so hopefully that is the case again this year. And I went over the roster at the end of the last episode, so I'm not going to go in depth. Nothing has really changed since then. Our starting rotation: Petty, Snelling, Montero, Anderson, Jones. Our relievers, headlined by Sinja, Rope, and Jax. And then our starters on offense: Baldwin, Kinney, Volpe, Perdomo, Santana, Keishal, Ciani, Quintero, Coffee, with some slight changes against left-handed pitching. So Griffin and DeLuca slotting in there. So today's opening day. I put in one waiver claim for... I don't even remember. Christian Cairo. He just looks like good infield depth. So we'll see how that goes. I do, again, start the season with 30 players on the active roster. That goes back down to 26 May 1st, the COVID rules that I kept in place. So one thing I did forget to mention, I think, in the end of last episode, is that Alex Mooney also, who was kind of our backup infielder the last two seasons and had pretty decent years both years. He didn't have a great spring training. I mean, he didn't play a whole lot in spring training either, but he is going to start the year in AAA as well, and that's mainly because we have a few guys like Sanford and Cabada who are kind of our backup infielders now, and neither of them have options, and he does. Well, Sanford has one option, but I liked what he did. Well, he didn't do very well. I'm going to leave him up to start the year. I think that, Mooney, we've kind of seen what he can do. He's 27. I mean, he's fine. He might even get brought back up to start the year. He's already started decently at AAA. But, that was kind of an interesting decision, as well as Jackson Ferris starting the year at AAA as well. So we'll see how both those guys play, if they make their way back up to the Major League roster. Otherwise, I'll probably just stop and update if there's any injuries or noteworthy things to report. Right now we have Imanaga, who's going to come back in 2 days, and he should slot into our rotation, and Bello should be back at some point in the near future, hopefully, but we'll see. So that's kind of my intro to the season, and we'll go in here, and I'll let you know if and when anything happens. So talk to you soon. All right, as if on cue, I made it one whole game into the season. Quintero, injured while running the bases, has a mild ab strain and some moderate injury, out for a week. So, it looks like Mooney won't have to wait very long to get back to the major leagues. We've got mostly... pitchers on the 40 in the minors right now, and Mooney does have an injury himself, but it's just a minimal injury, so we're going to put Quintero on the injured list, the 10-day IL, and bring Mooney back up, since I don't want to mess with the 40 at this point on the season. So I will need to see. I think I'll just have Griffin slot in and play right field, and then shouldn't have to adjust my left field lineup, or handed pitching. You know what I mean. yeah, as we did lose 3 to 5 opening day, Petty gave up 4 earned runs. Correa gave up an earned run. Rest of the team is decent, so um, yeah, I will update when something else happens. All right, so some good news here. Bello is back and on rehab assignment. I'll probably leave him in rehab for a little bit, just to give him basically some time at AAA. He is out of options, so I'll have to figure out what I want to do with him once that rehab stint is up. In the meantime, Imanaga made one rehab start where he, yeah, I mean, this is CPU thing. Like, I can technically go in and change this, but you probably wouldn't have a guy pitching 101 pitches for a full 9 innings in a rehab start, but sure, okay. To start the year, the starters have been not good, and the bullpen's been decent. So I think what I'm going to do to bring Imanaga up is Montero has options and had a particularly disastrous start on his time out. So I'm going to send him down for now and bring up Imanaga, who will slot into the one slot in our rotation. And we want to always start highest rested. I forgot to change that. That's fine. And Imanaga, since he is coming off of injury, I'll have him pitch, hold him to 85 pitches, we'll say. Okay, and let's see how Imanaga does in his first start as an A. Win 5-1. 7 strong innings, went 90 pitches, only gave up 3 hits and 1 earned run. That's excellent. That's what you want to see. And that brings us back to 1 game under 500 as we've started the year 3-4 so far, but still early, so we'll see how things go. All right, Quintero's done with his IL stint as we are 4-6 now. Just looking again, really small sample size for most of these guys. Hitting has struggled a bit to start the season for most players. I think I'm gonna send Sanford down just so he can be playing every day in the minors. I think that makes the most sense. Kabata I can't send down because he's a Rule 5 pick. Yeah, so that'll be the play, and then I'll mess with rosters accordingly. We'll send him down and bring Quintero back up. And yeah, Quintero had a good start to the season. So we will slot him back in to right field starting, as Connor Griffin's actually had a good start as well. Let's see. Although against right-handed pitching, not so much. So we'll probably stick with this, and then Mooney will be back up at second base in addition to first, or third. Can Mooney play first? No, he cannot. Okay. Yeah, we'll go with this, and then left-handed pitching. It's hard when it's this small of a sample size too. Yeah, Kinney has not been great to start the year. We'll slide in Mooney here for backup, and I want to see more against left-handed pitching before making other decisions. Although I will slot in, let's see, Quintero at right field, and I guess I should set some sort of defensive subs at least for the outfield. Yeah, it should be fine. I'll roll with this. Oh yeah, I did want to briefly mention the draft pool was revealed. Won't be as exciting this year, I think, because we were quite good last year, and so there's lots of good players that seem interesting. Sean McElroy, um, John Crozier, just off glancing here at the top of my head. Yeah, some decent looking pitching process prospects, but yeah, in terms of where we're drafting 31st in this year's draft, so uh, probably not going to be many good players available. Let's see if we go. Yeah, and we lost our third round pick as a comp pick for signing Volpe. So um, yeah, so not great, but I'll still show the draft on camera and everything. Uh, and once we get closer to the draft, I'll do the full draft pipeline or scouting, all that good stuff. Draft watch list. That won't be until June though. So for right now, we're 5-6, still under 500, but still not doing bad relative to the rest of the division. The D-backs started 1-10. Oh my, that's not great. I'm not sure what happened to the D-backs exactly because they were quite good to start this sim and then have just completely, as they have lost. What is that? 9 straight, I think. 8 straight. Wow. Yeah. Not ideal. Uh, whew. Yeah. You don't want to see a FIP of 30, although that's just against left-handed pitching. You don't want to see a FIP of 11 either, and an ERA of 22. Oh, poor Brian Bello. Yeah, ouch, ouch. Okay, anyway, back to simming. I'll cut in if there's interesting things. All right, it is now May 1st. We are 14-13 to start the season, which is not the best, but also not the worst, I guess, as we are still only 2 games back in the division. The Angels actually leading the division at the moment, and Cutter Coffee on a 16-game hitting streak, so keep an eye on that. Some surprising changes as I went to adjust the roster, cutting down to 26 again. Yeah, let's just go through real quick. The rotation has changed very slightly. Imanaga, Snelling, Jones, Bello, and Anderson. Petty has struggled to start the season. Bello in his rehab starts has been great in AAA, so he's going to get a starting slot for now. If you notice, our closer situation has changed. Griffin Jack's now slotting in as our closer. That's because Sinja has really struggled to start the season. 8.36 ERA in 14 innings. Some of that might be bad BABIP luck, but I'm going to let him try to work it out in AAA because he's got options and some of our other relievers don't. So Rob stays in as the setup man. Baez slots in as the other setup man, and the rest is largely the same. We did cut bait with our other 5 pick that was in here, a Ruby. And as far as our starting lineups go, the big name that was brought down was Cooper Kinney, who has really struggled to start the season. 195 batting average, 68 OPS. Again, he has options. I'm going to let him try to work it out in AAA. I have faith that he'll probably be back up. But, Mooney, who I brought up to start the season, has just raked, and so I can't in good conscience set him down when our offense so far has been pretty anemic overall. I'm not going to send down one of our guys who's actually hitting well. So our lineups now, Keyshaw is going to slot in as the starting first baseman. So I can play Mooney at left field, which he plays decently well. Volpe and Perdomo. Volpe's also really struggled to start the season. Negative .6 WAR. which is not great. Buoyed by some very bad defensive numbers at second base. I mean, some of that might just be, him still getting used to the position, but you'd expect him to put up much better defensive numbers than that. But yeah, I'm going to give Volpe and Perdomo a chance to kind of work it out. Perdomo's not doing awful, but you'd like to see him do better as well. And Cutter Coffee has been good to start the season. He is slotting in as our starting DH against right-handed pitching, and I put him in as our starting first baseman against left-handed pitching because he's hit both well. He's on pace for a 3.64 season, which would be pretty successful for him. It helped justify our decision not to trade him in the offseason. Yeah, not much else to say. Quintero's been hitting well overall. He's getting a bit more playing time against lefties, I believe. Yeah, I have him starting every second game at center field against lefties, and he was already slotted in as our starting right fielder, so he will stay in that role. Baldwin's been doing really well, 1.1 WAR. He leads the team in WAR. Batting-wise, to start the season, Santana off to his usual, solid defensive start. Yeah, justifying kind of our decision to keep him at shortstop over Volpe, I think. And pitching-wise, yeah, Snelling leading the team in WAR, pitching-wise, which is a little surprising, but he's been doing well. Imanaga's been doing well. He, WAR is not great. I think his FIP is not amazing either. Yeah, 5.1 FIP, but the other results look good. There's maybe some good BABIP luck in his direction, but we'll take it. And yeah, we'll see how this goes as we head into May. Other updates for the minor leagues. Jackson Ferris doing well. He started the year pretty slow. Had some kind of rough starts in there. Had one decently rough start recently, but still doing pretty solid. Hopefully he'll be back up to the majors sooner rather than later. I think a lot of our offense is doing well in AAA. There's a lot of guys with OPS plus over 100. Yeah, Shea Langoliers, Bregman, who I brought in as depth, Jaworski, who almost made the team and would probably be one of the first call-ups. Churio, Burkholder, yeah, just look at all these names. And then in AA, yeah, our pitchers are doing quite well. I'd like to promote to AAA sooner rather than later some of these guys, and I think Clevenger might be the one to be fully ready at the moment, just given that he's had 4 really solid starts, 1.2 WAR, and yeah, I might hold off a little bit longer on him, but he's probably the closest to being promoted. Strapadopoulos I'd like to promote as well, but he's, again, I'm going to wait a little bit longer with these guys, just being careful with them since they are our top prospects right now. And Dingus has struggled to start the season, unfortunately, but there's still time for him to turn that around. So we'll see how this goes, and yeah, I will update you if there's any injuries, any other important news. Next important thing will be the draft combine in June. Otherwise, I'll just update you throughout May as important things happen. So see you then. Okay, it's May 5th. May's gone well so far. We started 4-1 in our first 5 games. Did just have an injury. Quintero, herniated disc, out for 2 weeks. Not the worst scenario, but it will require someone to be brought up from AAA, and there's a few intriguing options here. As we do, since I released some of our Rule 5 guys back to their original team, we do have some room on the 40-man now, so we kind of have our pick of whoever looks interesting here. Sanford's been doing well, but I'd like to keep him playing every day in the minors. Same with Steven Martinez, although his OPS could be a little bit higher, I think. Connor Burns, I don't really want to carry 3 catchers right now, so let's look at some other guys. And I think the two I'd be leaning towards, at least in terms of OPS, Griffin Burkholder's started hot in AAA, had decent numbers at AA. And then Sean Gamble has started well and can play a variety of different positions. It might be good to bring him up and use him as kind of a more utility guy, since Alex Mooney is kind of in that role before, and we have him starting in left field currently. But it might make more sense to bring up an outfielder instead. Yeah. So, I mean, he's classified as an outfielder currently. So let's do all levels and see. Yeah, even taking in his slightly worse numbers in AA, Burkholder still has the better OPS for the year. So let's go ahead and bring up Burkholder and go to AAA. Yeah. So Burkholder back on the 40-man and promote him to Oakland. And I'll have to redo the roster slightly since Quintero was starting for us in right field some of the time. So I'll redo that, and yeah, I'll let you know when there's any further updates. All right, so not an injury, but a suspension this time. Mooney and Jacob Junis had a on-field fracas, and Mooney suspended for 4 games. So we will place him on the restricted list and look to call up. We'll go ahead and do Gamble this time. That will require, again, some more reworking of the lineup here. Yeah, let's... One of these two will probably start in left field over DeLuca against righties. We'll have to see. But anyway, that's the update here. As I didn't realize Josh Noth had an injury. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And Landon Ropp has food poisoning, so he's only out for 2 days. I won't do a DL stint for him. IL stint for him. Sorry. Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, Mooney has finished his restricted list time. We're up to 22-16. May still going pretty well. Only lost 3 games so far in the month of May. Definitely happy with that. Some other bummers of injury news, though. Alejandro Vera, who's kind of one of those borderline prospects for us, tore his flexor tendon and is out for 13 months. That's brutal. He was having a good year at AA so far. And Kevin Davison also out for 2 to 3 months with shoulder inflammation. And he's one of our prospects that we were kind of keeping an eye on as well. Grogan, I don't know who that even is. Yeah, so we'll do some roster adjustment here. I think Burkholder's going to come back down, and then I'll have to see who comes back down whenever Quintero is back from the injured list. So I'll update soon. All right, still in the middle of May, but I did want to point this out since he is one of our top prospects. John Clevenger really has done everything we've asked of him and more at AA, including in his last game, pitched a full, complete game shutout with only 7 hits allowed, 9 strikeouts. Yeah, his ratings look good. Still only 2-star overall against the PCL, but I think he's ready to get moved up. Yeah, I don't know what much more he can do at AA. Only 57 innings pitched there, but I think it's time. So we may see him sooner rather than later at the big league level this season. We'll see. Yeah, and not much else to report. Still waiting on some of these other top guys. We may see DeJesus and Zimmerman move up soon as well. Both of them are doing quite well in A+. And I'll kind of take a look at the rest of prospects once we get to June as well. So we'll see you then. All right, it's June 1st, and we are now at the top of the division. We are 34 and 21, 4.5 games up on the LA Angels. Yeah, we had an excellent May. 20 and 8 overall. Yeah, that's really, I'm really happy with that. Yeah, offense has not been great for most of the year. We're eighth in WAR, um, 15th in OPS, 16th in home runs. But the pitching has been excellent to make up for it. First in starter ERA, eighth in bullpen ERA, fourth overall and fifth in pitching WAR. And our defense has been quite good as well. First in defensive efficiency and zone rating, led, of course, by Santana and Ciani. Yeah, those guys have been great. Quintero pulling up good numbers. Volpe finally back up to positive fielding stats as well, as he's adjusted a bit more to playing second base. I guess there was a greater adjustment period than I expected, even though he had a 65 rating coming out of spring training. Yeah, he should hopefully be, getting more in the swing of things. Maybe that is why he's really struggled to start the season. I mean, that's pretty awful so far. But with his skill set, you'd expect for him to turn it around. He's going to get plenty of leeway to do so. Let's just go over real quick. Changes here. The rotation, I think, is the same since the last time I showed this. Imanaga, Snelling, Jones, Bello, Anderson. Jax is still our closer. We did also, he wanted a new contract, and I'm fine with doing this. Pretty close to what he offered us. $7 million for him to come back next year. He will be 36. His vesting option requires 35 games finished. So, if he has a good season, if he stays our closer, I wouldn't mind bringing him back again. If not, no big deal. He's been pretty consistently good the last few years, with the exception of not so great stint in Cleveland. But no reason to expect that things would be going south that quickly for him. As I do need to we brought back, or we ended up waiving Henry Baez, and he was claimed by Colorado. We brought up Noth to replace him. He was struggling to start the season. I did also waive Chase Petty. We'll see if he passes through waivers. He's just been really disappointing to start the season so far. 5.06 ERA, not awful, but we're also, paying him $3 million. I think he's due like $7 million in arbitration next year, so we'll see. If anyone ends up claiming him. Sinja has been doing really well in AAA, so he gets the call up as well. Not much. Correa has slotted into the setup role and done pretty well so far. I guess he's blown a few saves, which is not ideal, but his ERA and his FIP both look good, so he'll probably stay there in the near future. Snelling and Jones leading our team in WAR for pitchers. Snelling in particular having a great season. Keeping up, it's even better pace than what he was on last year, so very happy with that. In terms of our lineups, a little bit has changed there too. I'm sure you noticed DeLuca's on waivers. He's been a bit disappointing to start the season. Last year he hit lefties a lot better than righties, and that's definitely continued so far this season, although the difference has been his right-handed hitting has just been bad. And his left-handed hitting is still good, but again, we're paying him $7 million this year, and just, that's not... I'd rather bring up someone from AAA that would put up better numbers. And so in this case, Burkholder's back up. We also I don't think we brought up anyone else. Yeah, leading our team in WAR, Drake Baldwin having a great season so far. This is what we expected when we traded for him. He's on pace to put up a better season than last year even. I'd like to try and get him signed to a long-term extension. He said he won't listen to any extension offers until his last contract year. So until then, we have him under contract for at least one more season, 2 if he opts in to his player option. If he keeps playing like this, there's a decent chance that he won't. But we can cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, Santana doing really well still, on pace for a 4-war season, buoyed by his excellent defense. Coffee, really hot to start the season. He's been playing a mix of first base and third base for us, mainly first base because Keyshaw has been struggling to start the season. Yeah, and, Volpe has really struggled to start the season. Yeah, Connor Griffin, kind of expected more from him too after an interesting, pretty decent 2029. Kind of taken a step back this year. He might look to go down to the minors. He does have options. He's kind of on the borderline right now. Keyshaw needs to get things figured out sooner rather than later. These are not numbers that I'd want from an everyday player. I'd say most everyone else is doing fine. Our offense isn't amazing right now. Our defense is quite good though. And doing a quick minor league roundup, Jackson Ferris doing decent in AAA still. I might look to call him up. He's probably going to be one of the first names if there's an injury somewhere. Clevenger got shelled a bit in his first start in AAA. That's a little disappointing. Swem also had a sub-2 ERA in AA, so he got the call up to AAA as well. So we may see him sooner rather than later this season. Cooper Kinney did have an OPS over 100, now back below, so he's kind of still figuring some stuff out down there. We'll have to see if and when he gets brought back up. Sean Gamble, I'm looking to, he's done really well in AAA. I'm going to try to cross-train him at first and third base, and then can play him all over the place, potentially bring him up as a solid utility backup. Sanford probably deserves playing time at the big league level given what he's done so far, but he's kind of blocked by Volpe and Santana right now, so we'll have to see. Maybe a good trade candidate if we're looking to bring in more major league level talent. Strapadopoulos doing well at AA, not quite ready for AAA yet, I think, but getting there. We did call up Gerald Zimmerman to AA. He looks like, contact wise, he should be fine. 45 in at least every category relative to AA. His defense still needs a little bit of work, but if he's going to play first base anyway, that's not the biggest concern. And Sharpton still putting up good numbers in AA. We'll probably look to get him up to AAA sometime this season if he keeps up this pace. Again, probably sooner rather than later. DeJesus close to getting moved up. I'd like to see a little bit more improvement from him before that. Did anyone else get called up to A? No. So that's the quick update. It is June 1st. We got about a week the first year player draft combine. That'll be a bit interesting to approach this year because we don't have a top pick. We don't pick till 31, I think. I'd have to double check. So how we approach that is going to be interesting. We're going to try to look at, try to figure out which guys will go near the top of the draft overall and try to target the best of the class that will not be taken highly overall, which is going to be kind of a thin or a fine line to walk, but um, we'll try to walk it. So I'll go ahead and sim to that, let you know if there's anything interesting before then. So I'll see you soon. All right, we made it one whole day into June, and Alex Mooney is now out with an intercostal strain for 3 weeks, so he'll go on the 10-day IL. And we'll look to bring up someone to replace him. I'd like to. Yeah, I mean, he had kind of been playing. He'd been DH, so really any hitter can come up. Yeah, in terms of who's been the best hitter so far, that's been Sean Gamble. So, yeah, we might look to do that. We could bring up Bregman, maybe. Yeah, that might be a good. How's our attendance so far this season? Oh, it's been good, with a brief dip in there, but yeah, we've got below average loyalty fans, but you know they they show up when it matters, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Steven Martinez maybe could see some good playing time here. And he is already on the 40 man. Yeah, I'd like to keep Gamble. Like, I'd like to bring him back up at some point, but use him as more of a utility type of player. So, yeah, so let's give Steven Martinez a shot. He's 22. And yeah, let's see. Against righties, he does well. Against lefties, does not as well. So, yeah, that should be fine. He'll slot in as our starting DH against righties. And Burkholder slides down, and he'll be back up for left field. And then against left-handed pitching, he will back up, probably left field again, and probably be back up DH as well. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, although we do need a backup second baseman now, and who can actually play second base? Keyshaw kind of can. That's fine as a backup. Yeah, so we'll keep simming. Still need to see if these guys can pass through waivers or not, but probably the next thing will be the draft combine. So I'll see you soon. All right, it is June 7th, which means the first year player draft combine is going to start soon. Did want to mention, because I hadn't shown yet, where the all-star voting stands. Not too many candidates for our team this year. Drake Baldwin would be one of the two that I see. He, is having an excellent season. I think he deserves it at the moment. Not too surprised to see him there. And then as we scroll down, Snelling also has had a great season so far and is fourth for starting pitcher votes. Again, deserving candidate in my eyes. So we'll have to see if either of those guys make it in. In the meantime, let's go to the first year draft combine. So, yeah, let's see. Draft pipeline. Now, this is one thing I'm not sure about, because I've done this before and had it show Yeah. Tommy Visconti. No, okay, yeah. So Tommy Visconti was one of the people we thought about taking last year. I was like, yeah. So it does show last year's draft class in there as well, for some reason. But yeah, Tommy Visconti, they have him already up to AAA where he's doing pretty well. You know, that it was a tough choice between him and TJ Strapadopoulos. Time will tell who made the right decision. They're right next to each other, even 11 or 12 and 13 in overall prospect rankings. He's doing quite well in AA. Yeah, still a little farther away, but the potential is definitely higher than for Visconti. So, although he's up to a 5-star potential too, but yeah. Well, we'll see how he does. Anyway, the draft combine. Let's go look at that. So we want to try to find guys that are, as we look at where we pick here in the draft order, we pick at 31. So the OSA mock draft has us taking David Scott, who looks pretty decent, honestly. Like, for pick 31, I'd be pretty happy with that pick. And Tom Dean, Steve Pandolfo. Yeah, so like Steve Pandolfo and David Scott don't look that different in my eyes. Like, why is he a second overall pick and Scott is. Yeah, Scott even has better overall ratings currently. Pandolfo has better stuff and better BABIP potential, but I'd rather have Scott. Yeah, and Scott has high work ethic, so that's interesting. So then Williamson, Clark. It's going to be tough to see as Crozier. He looks pretty decent as well. So do we just want to maybe go for the top overall prospects and just see who falls to us at 31? Because that could be a decent strategy, I think. Keener Gomez. Oh, yeah, he was someone I looked at because he was drafted last year in round 2 and ended up not signing and returning to college. So he is available again this year. He looked decent. I think we had thrown him. Yeah, he got thrown on our draft short list. I don't know if he'll make it on there again this year. Stephen Gilliand is interesting too. Great contact potential, pretty mediocre power potential so far. Okay. Jonathan Byler. Yeah, I wish there was a way to see from individual player pages where they're expected to go in the draft. As it is, we can kind of just look and see, draft pool. I would expect him to go decently high. Yeah, he's 11th currently overall. So Vince Metcalf looks interesting. Yeah. Okay. It's hard when you pick 31 because you don't know who's going to be available. All let's look at pitchers too. Yeah, because there's a lot of good pitchers, honestly, in this year's draft. Like a lot of guys with 5-star potential and decent overalls already. David Scott was a name that we looked at earlier. I think he's worth taking a closer look at, since he's projected to fall to us already. Although he is not part of the combine, so never mind. Sean McElroy is interesting. Crozier, I think we looked at before. Chapelier. He's only got 3 pitches, but they look like good pitches. 90 potential fastball and 85 potential changeup and sinker. Okay. Man, if he develops, he would be a beast. I just don't know. It's hard to figure out who to prioritize here. I mean, my first pick would have been Scott, but we can't even prioritize him. Okay, so I think we'll just look to see which guys look interesting and would be potentially available at our pick. So I'm just going to do players I think look interesting. Byler and Sanchez both have 5-star potential and good personalities. We'll try them. And catcher looks interesting. Engberg has potentially really good defensive ratings already, with some pretty solid to great hitting and high work ethic. All right, I'm definitely intrigued by that. Catcher, is always a position where I struggle to find guys, even though we've got Drake now. I always try to draft best player available, because these guys, especially, Engberg being 17, he's at least a few years away from being able to be major league ready. As Dupuis also looks good. Okay, and we'll start looking at pitchers. I mean, there are some really good pitchers near the top here. No one that has here's one. Jaden Williams has high work ethic and IQ, but he looks like more of a 2nd or 3rd round pick, probably. Okay, Sean McElroy has 5 pitches. And he's 21 years old. He could, start in AA probably right now, which is interesting. Like, any of these guys near the top here, I think, would be potentially able to start in AA. Crozier and Chapelier. Chapelier would potentially be more of a reliever, depending on whether or not his changeup develops or not. But even then, he could be a really, really good reliever. And McElroy, okay. These guys are interesting enough to throw on the watch list for sure. Crozier can go on there. Chapelier can go on there. I'll probably target about 12 guys again. I think that's been a good number to work with. Maybe I'll do 10 and see if I get better ratings on some of these guys. Better accuracy ratings, I mean. He has interest very high in Chapelier and Crozier already. So let me see. Crozier projected to go 5th. Chapelier projected to go 13th. So chances are good that both of those guys will be gone before they get to us. So maybe, all right. Right now I'm gonna throw guys on there that look interesting, and then I think cut down after the fact, because we'll want to take the best player available that actually makes it to us at 31, which means we're not gonna get our first pick most likely. Let's see. Batting draft. Let's sort by infield rating. Chad Thomas. Not too wowed by that. Tom Dean. Looks okay. He looks okay. Oh, but he's not even in the combine. Okay. Andy Siraki is 21. Yeah, but he can't play great defense. Like, at least not as good as you'd expect from those ratings. All right, I like to sort by power potential too, and we'll see. Brandon Williamson. Whew. Those hitting ratings are crazy. If he can actually reach that, and he does have high work ethic, yeah, he's a player I want to keep an eye on. What is he projected to go currently? 3rd. Okay, so chances are good he won't make it to us. Yeah, that's the hard thing about this, is like there's a lot of guys that look really interesting, but just probably won't make it to us. Rooney, Eichhorn has low intelligence. Rich Johnson looks good as well. I mean, he's a pure hitter, but again, I almost like those guys better because you can just solely focus on their defense in the development lab and just let their hitting ratings develop potentially. All right, let's look at guys with 4-star potential and above. It's Jamie Rosenblum, has high leader and work ethic. I'm interested in that. Lots of 80s for Matt Rosen. Did I look at him already? He's 21, but could be decent. You know, the guys that are already like partially developed are interesting. Yeah, so we'll throw Rosen and Smith on there. All right, as we are over 12 already, I think, but let's see. Let's look at pitchers one more time. Anyone with 4-star or higher potential. So Hassan Smith. The control is low. I mean, I've got a few of those types already, but his movement looks really good. His stuff looks good. He's got high work ethic. I mean, I guess Horton, already pretty developed and thus interesting. Giuliani is a reliever and thus not that interesting for a first overall pick. Gadzik, Israel, okay, Ethan Brown. Ethan Brown is 22, almost 23. but not quite as developed as some of the guys above him there. Ben Glum. Ben Glum. He looks decent. He's 21, just turned 21, so if you start him at A+, he's got a decent chance of developing, sure. And then Khalif Oba. 90 potential fastball and high work ethic. Another low control guy, though. Mike Ignatowski. Slider, cutter, circle change. Interesting mix. Oh yeah, I guess you can always, I haven't done this yet, but individual pitch ratings. I know people like to search for the knuckleballers out there, and there don't appear to be any in this year's class. What about the knuckle curve? Ben Blum has a knuckle curve, all right, as well as Nick Swanson. I think Swanson was a guy we looked at already, but didn't. Yeah, why not? And we don't know his personality yet either, so I'll add him. Individual pitch potential is probably what I would want to sort. Screwball. Rafael Hernandez. All right. Several guys with 90 potential fastballs. Khalif Oba. Yeah, I feel like I've said this a bunch of times relating to pitchers, but if you can get the control up, he's a very intriguing guy. All right, got way more than 12 on here. Let's go ahead and cut this down. As we are at, yeah, more than 12. So I think it's safe to say anyone in the top 10, I'm just going to use that as a cutoff, is unlikely to drop to us. And if they do, great, but I'm not going to waste scouting slots on them. So that's going to be Tom Dean, Pandolfo. I think neither of those guys are in. Oh, I can't actually remove them from my draft list from here. None of them are on the draft list. That would be why. All right. Chapelier was one that was on there, I think, for sure. Dustin Clark, I can add to the short list. All right, John Crozier. He was a name that we added. At least I thought we did. Am I going crazy? All right. Where's Chapelier? No, I don't have the option to remove him from here. Okay, so Chapelier's actually outside of the top 10, but I think Eichhorn was a guy that we put on there. Yeah, I wish I could look and see. All right, let's do this. As I haven't cleaned off my draft list from last year. As you can see, Gerziak, by the way, was another name that we considered, and he's doing pretty well at A+ as well. Currently the 74th ranked prospect. So I think like my talent evaluation last year was between Strapadopoulos and Visconti, and like given how both of those guys are doing, I feel pretty vindicated in that so far, but we'll see. Obviously, it's impossible to completely predict how things are going to go. I wonder if there's a way to see. All right, let me cut the video while I do this because this will be really boring to watch. Just me add everyone to the draft list. All right, so short list has been created. You can also see on here who I've taken out of my scouts draft watch list just because yeah, these are all guys that are expected to go fairly high. With the exception of Dupuis, I noticed that he is impossible signability. I'm not going to spend a first round pick on that. I mean, I guess we could and just offer him a ton of money, but that's the type of guy that if we're going to do that and we're, way under slot, we could try to take a chance to do that in the second or not the third round. We don't have a third round pick, but maybe the second or fourth if he's still hanging out there in the fourth. Yeah, but down to 12 guys now on the draft watch list, so I'm gonna stick with that. We'll kind of see where guys go. Like if some of these guys get bumped up to very high interest, I might take them off my list because that probably means they'll go higher in the draft. But we'll see. We'll just sim through the next few days and we'll see how the draft combine goes. As Tyler Anderson suffers a moderate injury in the first day of that. Okay, so he's got a 1 week injury, moderate. I don't want to put him on a 15-day IL, so we're gonna just do this. Move him down to the 6th slot, and Bautista, I think, can make a spot start here. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, as we go to the draft watch list, yeah, okay. Oh, we're still on the same day, that's why. All right. So lots of guys go up to very high. Sean McElroy was a name that we had on there. Let's see. Horton was a name. Horton's also fragile, which I don't know if I love that combination. Same with Rich Johnson. Rich Johnson's also 17 and still a ways away from developing. So I think I'll remove both those guys. McElroy, I might still leave him on. And Ben Glum is only high. I might leave him on for now too. Yeah, we'll go with this. All right, Ben Glum now up to very high. Juan Sanchez up to high. He's 19, but a little more developed, where he could play in rookie league ball without much of an issue. Still at average accuracy for all of these guys. I think we'll roll with this probably till the end of the combine. Let's see. Any new voting updates? Nope, Snelling's still in 4th. I don't see anyone else interesting in here. Bobby Wood Jr., the top vote getter, and I'm not surprised. Yeah, I mean, he's got over 1,000 OPS on the season so far. That's insane. All right. As I get distracted here, yeah, is he leading the league in WAR? He is. Cam Smith now on the Expos, leading the NL in WAR, which is an interesting look. All right. back to scouting the draft watch list. As we win 4-1, we're up to high on several guys now. And we have 2 more days. Yeah, we'll just stick with this. I would like to get Nate Enberg's ratings up higher than hard signability, weak relationship, low league interest. I guess I don't care about, but yeah. Let's do that. Oh, okay. Well, that's not ideal. Cutter Coffee, who's having a great season so far, out for 4 months. He's going to miss most of the rest of the year. Okay. I mean, I think he would be back July, August, September, maybe in time for playoffs. As Keyshaw has a bruised hand, that's fine. Okay, well, that potentially opens up some playing time for someone. First base was where I was playing Coffee at both. I mean, I am cross-training Gamble at first base, but yeah. Okay, let me pause while I figure out what to do here. Alright, so we brought up Gamble. He could play a 40 overall first base, and that should improve more as time goes on too. We can use him kind of in that utility role. The only thing is I haven't cross-trained him at third base yet, but I remembered that Connor Griffin can play pretty decent third base as well, so he will be our new backup third baseman. Keyshaw slots in to play first base every day, and then does the same against lefties, so our lineup pretty similar now. I do have Bodine starting against lefties, by the way, over Baldwin, because his splits are pretty bad compared to Bodine. Yeah, I mean, he's a left-handed bat. Like, that's fine. Like, he mashes against righties, so that's totally fine. Okay. Now that the injury sidetrack is done, let's go ahead and see. We've got a very strong relationship now with Oba and Jason Smith, so we could look to, I mean, all these are high. Let's see if we can get some of them up to very high. I'd love to see that, so bam. All right. And none of them actually get up to very high, but that's okay. That's a pretty successful combine, I think, and now we gotta wait till July when the actual draft happens. So June, almost halfway through June, still in first place in the division, got a 3.5 game lead, and we have gone 5-5 in June so far, exactly 500. Which, given that we've had a few injuries, I'm okay with. Montero, by the way, I threw on the 60-day IL because he had an injury and was doing quite bad at AAA. So he's going to keep recovering from that injury, even though he's no longer injured because. Yeah. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned that Petty and DeLuca did pass through waivers. Okay, DeLuca's hurt for 2 weeks though, so he is hanging out in the injured list as well. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and keep simming. We'll probably have to get to July and then the All-Star break and draft before there's a next big thing up. Yeah, I probably won't look to make any trades until then either, just because I want to see where we're at exactly. I mean, we're doing pretty well. We're 2 games behind the Mariners for top record in the AL, um, and in fact, top record in all of baseball. As the Dodgers are 40-24 in the NL. Yeah, so really a pretty solid start to the year. Definitely had a much better May than the other months, but yeah, we'll keep rolling with this, and we'll see if we can get through these injuries and keep it going. So we'll see. All right, we made it 2 whole days, and Adrian Santana now out with knee tendonitis for 4 to 5 weeks. So this does open it up an opportunity. I already know, I think, what the play is here. Wyatt Sanford doing quite well at AAA. His OPS has dropped down a little bit, but he's got a chance for playing time now. So we're going to bring him up, and we're going to slot in Volpe as our everyday shortstop again, and look to maybe make Sanford our everyday second baseman. I'll have to see exactly how I want to do the lineups here, but I think that's probably going to be the play here. So let me mess with that really quick. All right, so that is what we end up doing here. Volpe slots in to be our everyday shortstop. Gamble will play second, with Sanford every third game, and Sanford also slotting in as our backup shortstop. And then I just have Sanford playing against lefties with Gamble every second game. Both of them are left-handed bats, so neither of them will probably be much good against left-handed pitching, but we'll kind of just have them split time there and see if one kind of ends up pulling ahead in terms of actual results. Yeah, I mean, both should be fine as second baseman defensively there. And Gamble, at least against righties, has done really well to start, over only 21 at bats, but yeah, he's got 2.5 star ratings against at second base and OPS plus 122. So he's going to get the opportunity there. Yeah, and I don't know if there's much to report for our minor league system at the moment. Chris Bourgeois, actually, let's look at him because he's putting up pretty great numbers. 1.9 WAR as a reliever over only 30 innings pitched. That gets my attention for sure. Yeah, I think with numbers like that, that's good enough to go to AAA. And we'll see how he does there. Jackson Ferris also has over 2 WAR for the season now. His ERA is still a little high, but that tends to be the case sometimes at AAA. I think if there's any other pitching injuries, he might be the next to be called up. Yeah, unfortunately, Kinney's still struggling. He's going to stay down until he stops struggling, if and when that ever happens. DeJesus has fallen off a little bit too in terms of OPS, so we'll see if he can get those numbers back up as well. But we're going to keep simming, see if we can make it to July without any other catastrophic injuries. So hopefully see you then. All right, Alex Mooney is back from injury, and could not have come at a better time as we are now 39-34. And if we look at the standings, we are now 1 game back in the AL West after losing 8 in a row. Not great. Yeah, so a few things to note. One is that, limited playing time, but both Sanford and Gamble have done really well so far in that limited playing time, so they're going to keep getting playing time. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And the other thing to note is that Sinjo still came back up and was really struggling, so he's back up in back down in AAA now. And Ferris is up to take the long relief role. He'll also slot in maybe as a starter if we get any more injuries. Bellows kind of on the watch list as well. His FIP is pretty high. His ERA is a little high. Yeah, he's on the watch list for. Yeah, I mean he doesn't have options is the only bad thing, but he could maybe swap to relief or we could try something. As Bautista still continues to do really well. He had a spot start in there, by the way, when Anderson was hurt, where he went four and a third, didn't give up any earned runs. So he's kind of proven that, he can take over that role potentially. Noth also kind of in the danger zone, although he's had a pretty good FIP this year, just a little bit of a subpar ERA. So as Rop. I didn't realize Rop was up to a 4.66 ERA. Ooh, okay. We might have to rearrange some stuff. Garrett Whitlock also struggling a bit. Yeah, okay. We're going to have to rearrange our bullpen a little bit here, but I'll show you what that ends up looking like in July, maybe, assuming we don't have any more injuries until then. Okay, so June is thankfully finally over. We made it to July 1st. Went 10-17 in June. Good for a 370 winning percentage and 2 games back for the division lead. Still doing decent overall for the season, but yeah, that's not ideal for how I wanted that month to go. So it'll be interesting to see how the beginning part of July plays out. Obviously, I think we're going to be contending for playoffs. I'll have to look and see some obvious areas that our team can improve. I mean, our offense has still been struggling for most of the year, either average or below average in every offensive category, really, except for stolen bases and base running. We're doing decently well in that. Our bullpen has also struggled at times. Our starters have been okay, like second in ERA, but a few individual starters have struggled. Bello, I've gone ahead and moved to relief. Bautista hasn't made any starts yet, but hopefully can do okay. If not, we've got Ferris ready to go. I did bring up Cam Leiter as well because, Garrett Whitlock not getting it done. 4.63 ERA, negative WAR, like, yeah, you'd prefer that to be a little better. So I already know that he will not accept a minor league assignment because I tried to just option him and he refused. So we might look to trade him if anyone will have him. Christian Cairo having a really good year at AAA, so what I'm doing is just trading him at multiple positions. I think he will come up and be kind of that utility role, as Gamble has continued to hit pretty decently well. Sorry about that awkward cut. Gamble been doing good in limited sample size. Baldwin continuing to do well. And Siani Keyshaw has started to turn things around a bit as well, which is encouraging after a slow start to the year. And the other person who I'm really happy to see starting to turn things around is Volpe. Still not great numbers overall for the year, but given how his year started, pretty awful April, negative 6 WAR, 0.6 WAR, and then, little better in May, much better in June with an OPS plus over 100. So hopefully that trend continues and we see some great numbers in July, but we'll have to see. So and Caden Bodine has been pretty good as a backup catcher as well. Like we brought him on for his defense, and surprisingly his defense hasn't saved any framing runs so far, which is interesting, but he has made up for it with his offense. Like he's hitting with an OPS plus above 100 as a backup catcher who's probably a defensive first catcher. So, yeah. I mean, obviously Baldwin is the starter and will continue to be the starter, but yeah, he's earned a little bit of playing time starting against lefties every other game. So we'll see how things continue to go. We have the draft in about 11 days. We have the All-Star break before that. Need to figure out, some offensive player. Like, some of it has been injuries, Santana being out for a long time hurt. Coffee had a good start to the season. He got hurt. So, yeah, I'm not sure, Catcher's really the only position that we are for sure set at. We would just probably look to upgrade wherever else we can. And I mean, Volpe at, I think long term, second and shortstop are pretty covered as well. Perdomo has been a bit up and down so far this season. He had, just has been okay. Ideally, you'd want these numbers to be higher for someone that you're paying, an average of like $13 million a year, I think it was. But we did front load his contract, so if he does fall off a bit, it's not the end of the world. And Steven Martinez, it's a little misleading because he was our starting DH for a bit, playing against righties, and he has struggled there, but has done pretty well against left-handed pitching, so I might look to leave him at the major league level, even though his overall numbers aren't great, just because, in terms of who we have that can actually hit lefties, it's not a long list, and he's on it. So Wade Shelley has been hitting lefties well, and weirdly getting time at second base. When did that happen? He got 2 starts at second base. Okay, I must have not filled in the backup at second base or something, and they just decided to stick him there for some reason. Okay. Anyway, Connor Griffin pretty much solely getting his value from left-handed pitching as well. He's struggled against righties. So he is not a starter against right-handed pitching, but still projects as a really good defender. And the ZR does kind of back that up as well. Curious to see. I know Santana was leading our team. Now it's Ciani. That's not that surprising, I suppose. Projected to get 14-ish this year, which would be pretty good. Keishal struggling, putting up negative ZR. I mean, we've mainly been playing him at first, although he's seen some time at left field too, and that's where his fielding has struggled, which is a little surprising because his outfield ratings aren't that bad. 65, 65, 50. I guess the arm's a little weak, but I'll have to see how that goes. But overall, our team, defense was a strength for us last year. It's a strength for us again this year, which is good. But we need more offense, and we need to find a way to make that happen. I don't know if there's any interesting names on the trading block in terms of offensive players. Last year we made a trade for Kyle Schwarber that didn't exactly work out. This year, Trey Sweeney, is he going to move the needle much in terms of offense? Probably not. We're not looking to make any earth-shattering trades. I don't think any of our top prospects are going to be available in a trade. Strapidopoulos I'd like to keep. I would consider Clevenger one of our top prospects at this point. I would like to keep him. Swem is, out of all of them, probably the closest to pitching in the majors, as he's got pretty decent ratings overall. is putting up decent numbers in AAA. I want to see these go up a little bit more before actually starting him. But he might look to get called up at the end of the year, especially since he is Rule 5 eligible next year. So I'll have to throw him on the 40 man either way at the end of this season. So yeah, he will probably look to get some playing time in September. DeJesus as well. I moved up to Double A. He was Player of the Week and has had enough service time at the A level, I think, and done well enough. Ratings project to be decent as well at Double A, so we'll see how he does there. Cheng Ho Cho is an interesting name that kind of came out of nowhere. He was a scout discovery, not even an international free agent that we signed, but has consistently gone up a bit. Started at 3, now up to 3.5 star potential. Had good numbers in rookie league ball this year. I still don't want to bring him up to A ball yet. He's still a little underdeveloped, but he's only 18, so we'll see how he progresses. Some of our other guys have taken a step back, but we did bring up Eddie Aguilar, who was a trade get for, he was part of the Kevin Kelly trade way back when in 2028, along with Gavin Jones, who, I'd say that has worked out well. Yeah, Kevin Kelly and Miguel Vargas, who is strangely still on the Orioles and still putting up okay numbers. So good for you, Vargas. I'm glad he's doing well. Kelly has long since been gone though, and a lot of interesting names in this trade actually. Mordon, we traded straight up for who did we trade him for? Imanaga. That's how we got Imanaga on our team. And yeah, I do really enjoy going through, as I'm getting sidetracked here, but the decision history and kind of seeing what, in terms of WAR, what our best trades have been. The Nolan Jones trade has actually been the best one for us so far. Traded him to the Reds, got Chase Petty, who has been disappointing this year, but we also got Landon Ropp, who has also been a little bit on the disappointing side this year, but both of them were good for us last year. And then Nolan Jones put up negative WAR for Cincinnati and is back on Colorado now, where he's putting up actually good numbers this season. So you go, Nojo, you go. And the Drake Baldwin trade, already our second best trade by WAR. None of these guys really doing much, and a lot of them were practically major league ready, so I think this trade looked like a slam dunk for us already, and I even went back and gave them Caldwell, who is more of a promising player than someone else that they demanded. DeLuca was good for us. And our worst trade by WAR was trading Brock Selvage for Bo Naylor. That one was not great. Selvage had a really good year for Cleveland last year, starting 31 games. He's fallen off a bit, but Bo Naylor was just not good for us in his limited time, and then went to the Yankees and put up much better numbers for them. So I guess the return that we got back from the Yankees wasn't bad. We did get Hanson and Montero, who both saw playing time for us. Gerald Zimmerman, who's looking pretty good at Double A right now. And Vera, who was also looking good till he had that injury. And Chance Mako, who's still more depth than anything else. But it's interesting to go back and look. Let's see. Zanatello having a pretty decent year for the Cubs so far. Who else is no longer on our team? Montero is on the IL. Everyone else is still on our team, I believe. And again, some of these greatest losses, I think I went through this before, but like James Gonzalez, I tried to claim on waivers, then tried to pass him again through waivers, and he got claimed again, so not really on our team. Trey Gibson was on our team. until we traded him. He part of the no he was part of the Keyshaw trade. Okay. Yeah, Guanipa. I'm interested to see. I'm sure that trade has not worked out in our favor so far, but it's probably at least a little bit closer now. Hmm. Yeah, and the Zanatella trade it has is a bad trade for us, but again, we got both Swim and Clevenger in that trade, so that might be one that looks better when all things are all said and done. Um, Ben Williamson. Oh yeah, he had a good year for Houston that year, and then none of these guys have really done much of anything so far. We had the Yuki Matsui trade. Again, none of these guys have really done much of anything so far. Um, and a lot of them aren't even on the team anymore. But, that's kind of how it goes sometimes with prospects. Yeah, Mitch Keller, that trade looked good at the time in terms of return, but not much there. So the Keyshaw trade, then, are we ahead on that? It's probably about even then, I'm guessing at the moment, because it's not showing up under my worst trades or my best trades. So it must be roughly even at the moment. Oh yeah, and we've already come out ahead on the Imanaga for Mordan trade, 1-for-1. Even though Imanaga's been a bit up and down so far this year, overall, pretty good. You know, we had maybe hoped for him to come in and be our ace. Instead, he's been more like a third or fourth starter, which is fine. Yeah, as Anderson also having a good year, I thought I'd point out he wanted to come back, but for more money this time. I'm nervous to bring him back again in his age 40 season. How long is he going to be able to keep this up for? I don't know. So we'll have to see. But yeah, we'll go ahead and go through July, the first part of July, until we get to the All-Star break, and then I'll show the draft, and then that'll probably be it for this episode, and then we'll do the trade deadline in the next episode. So look forward to that coming soon. All right, so we have made it to the All-Star break. 4-3 so far in the month of July. About 500. I'll take that after how June went, honestly. So, and we are still one game back in the division. Angels still on top. As we look at the other division, oh my God, the AL East is absolutely stacked this year. Every team at least has 50 wins at the All-Star break. That's, when you have some teams, the White Sox are currently leading the AL Midwest under 500. So, Mariners doing well again, Rangers doing well again, Braves and Expos right at each other's throats for the lead in the NL East. Cardinals have a commanding lead in the NL Central. Dodgers on top in the NL West. Phillies on top in the NL Atlantic. So, we'll be looking to make the playoffs, as we are currently 2.5 games back in the wild card spot. Remember, there are only 2 wild card spots, and with multiple teams in the AL East 50 wins or above, you have to imagine probably those are both going to them or the Rangers. So our best path to actually making the playoffs is likely winning the division. And we'll be looking to compete. I think we will be buyers at the trading deadline. How hard I want to go, I still kind of up in the air. I don't think we're going to be trading any of our top prospects, with maybe the exception of Eddie Rainville. He's still number 64 overall in baseball, but he's struggling a bit at A-ball. Is he going to reach this potential with only 35 control? I don't know. He is still only 20, about to turn 21. So he's going to have to show it, I think, sooner rather than later if he's going to do that. But if we can get some really good trade offers for him, I would maybe consider that. I think a lot of these other top guys, I'm not thinking about trading. Clevenger's like getting close to being major league ready as he's putting up solid numbers at AAA. Strapadopoulos like putting up solid numbers at AA. Will probably get moved up to AAA before the season's done. Probably won't be this year debut, but maybe next year. Davison was hurt but was pulling up solid numbers in A+. Yeah, and DeJesus, struggling a little bit to start at AA, but it's only through 6 games. So, yeah, he projects to be pretty good as well. So, yeah, we'll have to see what kind of trade offers we can get, or who's even out there. I know the last time I looked at the trading block, not too many names that super excite me. Connor Norby's kind of an interesting name, but does only, he would be a pure rental, only signed through 2030. Michael Garcia, like guys that I would really want someone who could really hit, and the closest to that is Connor Norby and Brett Rooker available, but he's age 35 now, hitting well this season, but hasn't done well the last 2 seasons, which, by the way, I forgot to change their team abbreviation, so they played 2028 as ATH, their abbreviation. They are LVR now, so yeah, so a little confusing there since, we are the Athletics. They are formerly the Athletics. Check out the first episode if you want the lore behind that. The all-important lore, which, by the way, I don't think I ever mentioned this. I know in the first episode I went back and watched, and I looked at the scouting tab and thought Paul Taboni was the owner, and, that is not the case. That he is their scout. He is not their owner. Their owner is still John Fisher, unfortunately for the Las Vegas fans. So, as we got to the All-Star break, I imagine you'll probably want to know who made the All-Star team. And I hate to report that Robbie Snelling ended up finishing 5th for starting pitcher votes, just narrowly missing out on the roster. If you see, Yamamoto made it in, Snelling did not. In fact, the only representation that we have in the All-Star game is Drake Baldwin, but he's a very deserving nod, so can't be too mad about that, I guess. I guess I can look and see, who's having a good season this year. Jackson Holliday putting up great numbers, as he seems to always do in this save, and probably other saves as well. Bobby Witt Jr., I think we looked at earlier, he's having a good year. Julio Rodriguez, it seemed like he had taken a step back, but is, back up to a 65 overall in center field and putting up good numbers again. And then pitching wise, Minho An is a name that I should probably talk about because he was a randomly generated player coming out of Korea for, not international free agency, but the, posted players coming over. I forgot what they're called. Not the guys that we can sign that are international amateurs, but actual international free agents that just get randomly generated by the game. I left that on, and just because, we don't have the Japanese league to pull from, so I think that this kind of balances that out. You don't have your Roki Sasaki's and your Yamamoto's coming over, your Imanagas. He is a name that I don't think he's a player that actually exists in real life. If he does, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure this was just a randomly generated name that the game, and he's also currently the best pitcher in the AL. So, yeah, I mean, he looks good. He's one of those guys that just like, even though he's only got two good pitches, they're two really good pitches, and the rest of his ratings, kind of back that up. You wouldn't expect him to necessarily be good as a starter, but he's got really good movement and good enough stuff in control to make it work. So, hey, if it works, it works. And obviously the results speak for themselves. Grayson Rodriguez claimed on waivers from Baltimore? Really? They waived him in 2027. Wow. Okay. How and why did that happen? I want to know. Yeah, after the best season of his career, they waived him. I don't understand that at all. But yeah, you could make an argument he's currently the best pitcher in the NL. Man, the CPU sometimes it just does some puzzling things. Richard Ramirez, Renel Rodriguez, Eduardo Tate, all putting up really good catcher numbers. And Jackson Merrill, probably on MVP watch currently in the NL as well. So, in terms of the prospects game, we did only have one representative in that as well. It's our boy Strapadopoulos, and he did actually, if we look at the box score, he was the starting pitcher of that game, gave up 2 earned runs in 1 inning pitched, which, you'd hope that he'd not give up any, but it's the All-Star game. It doesn't matter ultimately. So, this will be, I think, where I'm going to cut this week's episode this week. I say this week. I'm actually, for a peek behind the curtain, just kind of filming these as I play, sometimes over multiple days. So, when they come out is not necessarily indicative of when they were actually played. Like this episode, for instance, was over the course of 3 real life days. I like to sit and play for a bit, but it just depends on how much time I have each day. So, yeah, and I know next week's episode we've got the draft. We'll sim the actual All-Star game, but that's kind of whatever. With just the one representative for us. So we'll have the draft, and, the draft won't be as exciting this year versus last year. The second overall pick is a much more interesting pick than the 31st overall pick, but we're still going to make it work. We'll see if any of those guys we looked at in the draft combine are going to be available at pick 31. I'm interested to see if that works out. And if not, kind of how we pivot and deal with that situation, because, if you're a good team, you're going to be picking later in the draft, and you can still find some gems later in the draft for sure. And then, of course, the trading deadline, we're going to have to figure out who's available, probably start looking at some of these teams. Like the Twins are bad again. I traded with them a few times last season to get Keyshaw and Schwarber, which I haven't looked to see how he's been doing this year, but I'm guessing he's not exactly lighting the world on fire. As Gavin Jones actually 3rd in pitcher WAR for the AL, which is nice. I didn't realize that. He's having quite a good year and is up to a 3-star overall. That is a trade that worked out quite well, the Kevin Kelly trade. So, we've got him. We got Martinez, who's seen big league time so far. We got Mordon, who we were able to flip for Imanaga, and Aguilar, who's still developing in the minors and doing decently well. He put up good numbers at rookie league ball, struggling in, 1 whole start at A-ball so far at age 19. So, not concerned yet. But that's going to about do it for this week's episode. I said this week again. All right. That's about time to, I think, cut the episode here. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Please, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell your friends. Tell your OOTP loving friends. Tell your mom, tell your dad, um, tell your cat about how the fictional Oakland A's are doing. um, yeah, and hope you join us next time for the second half of the 2030 season, the draft, and the trading deadline. So I will see you then.